So here's a question for you. What do you call a prince who trades Buckingham Palace for a Netflix contract and then complains about the family business? A Sussex. BAMBSHELL. But seriously, folks, we need to talk about the absolute roller coaster that is Prince Harry's relationship with the royal family right now, because King Charles isn't just disappointed, he's reportedly traumatized. And if you think that's dramatic, wait until you hear what's actually going down behind those gilded palace doors. Welcome back to Royal Pancakes, where we serve up the tea hotter than the Queen's favorite Earl Grey. Today, we're diving deep into the latest chapter of what I'm calling the Great Sussex Saga. And trust me, this story has more twists than a pretzel factory. Conservative commentator Nile Gardiner just dropped some serious allegations about Prince Harry, and let's just say he didn't hold back. According to Gardiner, who literally worked with Margaret Thatcher so he knows a thing or two about political drama, Harry is consistently undermining the British monarchy, never takes responsibility for anything, and basically runs a full-time operation of playing the victim card. And apparently, King Charles has had enough. But here's where it gets juicy. We're talking about a father and son who can barely be in the same room together, a brief September meeting that lasted less time than it takes to microwave popcorn, and a king who's now put his foot down harder than a royal guard at Buckingham Palace. So buckle up, buttercups, because we're about to unpack why the monarchy is basically treating Harry like that one relative you avoid at family gatherings. Let's rewind for a second and talk about this September 10th meeting, shall we? Picture this. Harry flies all the way back to the UK, probably rehearsing his heartfelt reconciliation speech on plane, maybe even practicing his "I'm sorry" dad face in the bathroom mirror. He probably had this whole thing planned out, right? Emotional reunion, tears, hugs, maybe even a we can work this out moment worthy of a Hollywood screenplay. Except here's what actually happened. The meeting was so brief, so incredibly short, that calling it a meeting feels generous. We're talking less time than a commercial break. Sources say it was essentially Charles giving Harry the royal equivalent of "we need to talk," except the talk never really happened. It was more like we needed to not talk, and we achieved that brilliantly. And Nile Gardiner, who clearly woke up that morning and chose violence, took to X, that's Twitter for those of us still refusing to accept the rebrand, and absolutely let loose. He claimed Harry can't be trusted. Full stop. Not maybe we should be cautious, not let's give him the benefit of the doubt, but straight up this guy cannot be trusted. That's like your mum telling your siblings not to lend you money. It's harsh, it's direct, and it comes with receipts. Gardiner went on to say that Harry never takes responsibility for anything, and honestly, when you look at the pattern, it's hard to argue with that observation. Think about it this way. Every time there's drama, every single time something goes sideways, Harry and Meghan have a convenient explanation that somehow makes them the wrong party. It's like watching someone play victim bingo, and they've got a full card every single time. Royal family being traditional, oppression, media asking questions, persecution, someone breathing in their general direction, basically a hate crime. And look, I get it. They've had legitimate grievances, genuinely difficult situations, and real struggles with the press. Nobody's denying that. But there's a difference between addressing genuine issues and turning every single interaction into an episode of Everyone's Against Us, the series. Now let's talk about what's really got King Charles' knickers in a twist. And spoiler alert, it's not just one thing. Reports are flooding in that Charles has officially rejected Harry's hopes of returning as a working royal. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. Rejected. Not let's table this discussion. Not maybe in the future. But a full-on thanks but no thanks. We're good. Don't call us, we'll call you situation. And honestly, can you blame him? Here's where we need to understand the king's perspective for a second. Imagine you're running a centuries-old institution, trying to modernize it, dealing with public scrutiny, managing family drama, and then your son, who publicly dragged the family through the mud in a best-selling memoir, multiple interviews, and a 6-part Netflix documentary, suddenly wants to come back to work. It's like someone quitting their job by sending a company-wide email about how toxic the workplace is, publishing a tell-all book about the CEO, doing a podcast series about their trauma from the experience, and then casually asking if their old position is still available. The audacity. The sheer audacity. And speaking of that memoir, let's address the elephant in the room. Or should I say the spare in the bookshop? Harry's book didn't just spill tea, it launched an entire tea tsunami. We learned about physical altercations with William, details about Kate that made everyone uncomfortable, revelations about private family conversations, and enough personal details to make even the nosiest gossip columnist blush. The book was everywhere, and I mean everywhere. It broke records, dominated headlines, and became the fastest-selling nonfiction book in history. Congratulations, Harry, you won. Except you also irreparably damaged relationships with pretty much your entire family in the process. But hey, at least the book sales were good, right? But wait, there's more. Because the memoir wasn't enough, apparently. We've also got the Netflix deal, which gave us Harry and Meghan, a documentary series that royal watchers either loved or absolutely despised, with very little middle ground. The series positioned Harry and Meghan as these star-crossed lovers fighting against an evil institution, and while their story has real elements of struggle, the presentation felt less like a documentary and more like a very expensive, very produced grievance letter. Every episode built toward the same conclusion. We suffered. They are bad. We're good. Please feel sorry for us. It's exhausting. And this is where Gardiner's criticism about playing the victim really hits home. There's this persistent narrative from the Sussexes that they are constantly under attack, that reconciliation is impossible because royal aides leak information to derail their efforts. Harry has explicitly claimed this, suggesting that there are people within the palace machinery actively working against any possibility of family healing. And you know what? Maybe that's partially true. Royal households are notoriously leaky. We know this. But here's the thing. When you've spent years publicly criticizing these people, when you've written a book exposing private moments, when you've done interviews calling them out, can you really be surprised that they are not rolling out the red carpet for your return? King Charles is reportedly saddened by these claims that aid are sabotaging reconciliation. Saddened. That's the official word. But let's read between the lines here, shall we? When a king is described as saddened, that's royal speak for absolutely fed up and possibly screaming into a very expensive pillow. Charles has spent his entire life waiting to be king, and now that he's finally got the job, his son is creating headline after headline that overshadows his actual work. Every time Charles tries to focus on his environmental initiatives, his charitable work, or his vision for a streamlined monarchy, Harry drops another bombshell that dominates the news cycle. It's like trying to give a presentation while someone keeps setting off fireworks in the background. The reports about Charles rejecting Harry's working royal hopes are particularly significant when you consider the timing. The Sussexes have upcoming projects, including a New York charity event in October that's already generating buzz. They are building their brand, they are establishing themselves as independent operators, and they are making it work financially. The Netflix deal, the Spotify deal that eventually fell apart, Meghan's lifestyle ventures, Harry's various speaking engagements, they are creating an empire. But here's the catch. That empire is fundamentally incompatible with being working royals. You can't be half in and half out, which was literally the arrangement they initially wanted and were told wasn't possible. Remember Megxit? Remember the whole, we want to be financially independent, but still represent the Queen proposal? That was rejected then, and it's being rejected now, except this time with even more emphasis. What makes this situation particularly complex is that both sides have legitimate points. Harry genuinely experienced trauma, genuinely felt trapped, genuinely struggled with royal life and the loss of his mother in such a public, horrific way. Those are real things. But at the same time, the institution is attacking his father's life's work, his brother's future, his family's legacy. Every criticism, every revelation, every public grievance damages something that means everything to them. It's like the world's most expensive, most public family therapy session, except it's playing out across international media, and nobody's actually getting any healthier. Thanks so much for watching Royal Pancakes. If you enjoyed this royal drama breakdown, smash that subscribe button because trust me, this story is far from over. Drop a comment telling me whose side you're on, or if you think there's any hope for this family to sort themselves out. Until next time, keep your crowns polished and your tea hot.